For those waiting online, we're giving just a couple minutes for people to join that might be coming just a little bit late. Thanks for your patience.
Good morning, members of the Population Technical Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form. MAG staff can assist with any questions that you may have. If you parked in the garage, a validation stamp is available on the counter behind me. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available for MAG staff. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
Thank you, Chair. I will now begin the roll. Nick Leftwich, Apache Junction.
Present.
Beloka Belizamo, ADOT.
Present.
Thank you. Cole Hunger, Avondale. Andrea Marquez, Buckeye. Stacy Bridge, Denzak, Carefree. Stephen Perales, Cave Creek. Sam Andrea, Chandler.
Present.
Thank you. Jose Macias, El Mirage.
Present.
Thank you. Victor Cantu, Florence. Farhad Tavasoli.
Present.
Sorry, was that Victor?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Farhad Tavasoli, Fountain Hills.
Yeah, I just joined in here, present.
Great, thank you. Keith Newman, Gilbert.
I'm present.
Thank you. Alex Lerma, Glendale.
Present.
Thank you. Jimmy Carrion, Goodyear.
Present.
Thank you. Randy Prock, Litchfield Park. Rudy Lopez, Maricopa.
Present.
Thank you. Rachel Applegate, Maricopa County.
Present.
Thank you. Kelly Rorix, Mesa. Brandon McMahon, Paradise Valley.
Present.
Thank you. Sarah Dirks, Peoria.
Present.
Thank you. Adam Miller, Phoenix.
Present.
Thank you. Nina Arredondo, Pinal County. Sarah Clark, Queen Creek.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Myers, Salt River, Pima, Maricopa Indian Community. Nick Carroll, Scottsdale.
Present.
Thank you. Lloyd Abrams, Surprise.
Present.
Thank you. Chair Jacob Payne, Tempe.
Present.
Thank you. Anish Adhikari, RPTA.
Present.
Thank you. Dee McGarry, Wickenburg.
Present.
Thank you. Gregory Arrington, Youngtown. All right. Was there anyone I missed?
Nina Arredondo from Pinal County.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Emily Dawson, also from Phoenix.
All right. Thank you. Was there anyone else? All right. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, the call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, informational items, or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. I have received no request to speak for the call to the audience. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any online written comments.
Thank you. We will move ahead to agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have questions? Hearing none. Prior to the approval of the minutes, if there's an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have also received no requests on this item. Staff, have we received any written online comments for this item?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any online written comments.
Okay, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to approve agenda item number 3.
Move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Adam Miller. Is there a second?
Nina Arredondo, second.
And a second from, I'm sorry, what was the name?
Nina Arredondo.
And second from Nina Arredondo. We'll have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn their cameras on, staff will conduct a roll call vote.
All over the place.
Yeah, I went on Veritas.
Staff members will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. Members, please leave on your cameras until after the roll call vote so that staff can count people's names and whose cameras are on. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, would you take a roll call of members participating virtually who did not turn their camera on?
Thank you, Chair. Now begin the roll call vote. Alex Lerma, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lloyd Abrams, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Wow.
Sarah Clark, how do you vote?
Like they talked about, the cocaine hippo.
Cocaine hippo?
Yeah, what's the state?
Sorry. Victor Cantu, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank
And
Chair, that completes the roll call vote.
All right, thank you.
stop.
Agenda item 4 now, which is the MAG draft population and employment projections by municipal planning area for July 1st, 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050, and 2060, and annual municipality population projections for July 1st, 2025 through July 1st, 2060. This item is on the agenda for action and will be presented by Jesse Ayers, MAG Socioeconomic Modeling Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the PopTech. It's my great pleasure today to present to you the update to the 2026 update to the MAG population and employment projections. Today, I have a number of slides to present on these. I'll spend a slide talking about exactly what we're bringing for action to the committee today. Spend a couple of slides looking at the base data inputs as they are very, very important to this process. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about what we've all been doing this year to come to this point. Talk about the overall trends at the county level, which have become a more important item this year, I think, than ever before. Then we'll go through a series of population and employment concentration maps that show the spatial pattern of the growth over time. Talk a little bit about my next steps following the committee, and then we'll go to possible action. So first up, what are we actually bringing for action today? This is a little different than what we've done in the past. We're bringing resident population, which means people who live here more than 6 months per year, and those that are in group quarters like dorms and prisons, and total employment by the municipal planning area for the years 2025 and then the decades thereafter. We're also doing resident population by the jurisdiction boundaries annually for 2025 through 2060. This is in compliance with the executive order. And you can see all these numbers that we're bringing to the committee in attachment 1. This differs from times in the past where we've actually brought more detail to the committee for potential adoption. We used to bring regional analysis zone geography into the mix, and that's actually a combination of traffic analysis zones. So all the data that we've been reviewing this year with you guys has mostly been by TAZ. So we used to bring RAZ to the committee for adoption, but actually that has become constraining in the intervening years to us. And I think the biggest example of this is TSMC. That popped up in between projection cycles, and it left us kind of scrambling to adopt to that. So we think that adopting employment and population just at the municipal planning area boundary will leave more flexibility for us in the intervening years to adjust for things like that that may come up. But just just so it's known at the bottom here, we still will have detailed data available well below the jurisdiction and MPA levels for your planning needs. Any geography that a parcel can nest into, we can do reporting by, and all of that detailed data will continue to be available going forward. So that's just one change from the past. We'll go on and look at some of the base data inputs that we have. The base data is something that we spend an incredible amount of time on because it's so much of the answer. Although we're forecasting out 35 years, an awful lot of the answer is already there in 2025. So we really spend a lot of time trying to get this right. So for population and housing, we brought in the latest ACS data that was just released for 2024. We have the residential completions database and the property assessment data as well, plus our annual population estimates. We have our inventory of group quarters. All of the detailed population characteristics are synthesized from the latest ACS using the public microdata sample, excuse me. We also put in the MAG employer database that an awful lot of work is put into in Peter's team. The county level control totals for employment were developed from the QCW and BLS data releases. And residential completions were current through the Q4 of last year. I have one more slide on the base data inputs. We have existing land use as an input as well. The built space is primarily assessor's data that was current as of March and April of 2025 for Maricopa and Pinal counties, respectively. Future plans, we have all the general plans current as of December or maybe even later than that. The slide is a little bit old. Same thing for the development data. It's current as of April 2026 or later. This is something I think that we have been able to take feedback as recently as 2 weeks ago on this. So this is even a little out of date as well. Educational, we have a number of other inventories such as schools, mobile home parks, retirement areas, and motels. All of these serve various functions for our transportation model. So what have we been doing this year? Well, we got started a little later than we wanted to. But I want to address something that happened in December, the AZ Smart peer review. AZ Smart is the simulation model that we use to do our forecasting. And in the past, we've always done an AZ Smart workshop where we invite everyone in and we'll spend an hour going over the details of the model and exactly how it works, and just take questions and have a discussion. But this time we decided to invite peers from 5 different MPOs around the country to come in and review our model. We sat down with them for a couple of days in December and went over the model, took questions. A consultant came in to facilitate the process, and I was hoping to have the final deliverables to bring to you today, but those are going to be coming to us at the end of next month. So as soon as those come out on that, we'll be sending that out to you. But this was a really great process. We had people in from Seattle, Denver, Kansas City, Detroit, and Salt Lake City, plus our consultant, John Glebe, in from Boston. And it was a really great process. It was an awful lot of work, and it kind of set us a little bit behind. So we didn't get started with the draft 0 until late January due to some of that peer review work. So as you all will remember, draft 0 we did in late January and early February. This was before we ever ran any simulations. We really spent a lot of time on that developments database. We had 25 meetings with 9 in person. This was an awful lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun to get out and meet with you folks in your communities and learn what's going on. That draft 0 resulted in more than 600 edits to our developments database, which was quite a lot of work for Mia behind me here and Kurt, who's online, I'm sure. So yeah, draft 0 was a success for sure. We put all that stuff into the model, started running simulations, and came out with a draft 1 in April. We did another round of meetings. All these were virtual to make it a little bit more efficient time-wise. Want to note here that we were able to meet with Santan Valley staff during this time frame as well. Brent Billingsley and his staff have a daunting task ahead of them down there, and it was great of them to be able to take some time out, give us some feedback, because a lot of what we had was really out of date from Pinal County for them. So well, I think we'll welcome them in as of in the next fiscal year as a member to MAG. So draft 2 was a really quick review that happened just a few weeks ago, and this was just an online map review. It resulted in a lot more comments than we expected, more than 100 comments, which was probably 5 times as many as we expected. But we worked over that weekend and last Monday and Tuesday and ran the final simulations, got all those comments incorporated as much as we could, and that resulted in the attachment that you have in your hands today. So the big story this time around is the overall projection at the county level. Up at the very top there is the dark blue line is Maricopa County population going from 4.7, 4.8 million today up to almost 6.1 million in 2060. Pinal County is down there in the lighter blue line, pretty much doubling from 500,000 to almost 1.1 million. This is still very robust growth for Maricopa County. That's like 27% growth from 2025. The story here is, though, it's in 2060, it's down 500,000 people from what the state demographer was forecasting last time, which is about 7%. And the story there is demographic trends. I think you don't have to look far in your news feed to find evidence of declining school enrollment at every level. And we're starting to see that in the long-term forecasts. So that's what we have there. In the red line is Maricopa County employment going from 2.4 to 3.2 million. And down there at the very bottom, it looks like a flat line, but that nearly triples in Pinal County employment from 82,000 up to 225,000. So there's really still quite robust growth forecast out in the future. It's just not quite as much as we were expecting 3 years ago. So our job and the job of our model is to take these totals and distribute them down to the sub-county level. And that's what we're going to go over next. We'll go over some of the patterns, the spatial patterns of growth here in the region. So what we're looking at here is a map of population concentration for our base year of 2025. So this is roughly current conditions. And I have a series of these maps going out to 2060 that I'll flip through a few times, and we can just sort of observe the spatial patterns here. And I think probably the patterns to watch out for here in population, probably up around the TSMC North Phoenix area, Surprise, Northwest Valley, Buckeye coming in. I think those are the big things you're going to see. Plus down in Pinal County, Florence, those areas around Santan Valley really start to take off. So I'll just flip through these kind of slowly, and I'll go back through these a couple of times so we can see. So that's 2030. So that's just 5 years of growth. And I'll just back it out and go to 5 years of growth. Lots going in up in Surprise and up into the TSMC area. And then out to 2040, Buckeye and really comes in, Northwest Valley. And then going out to 2050, just even more, going out into the Apache Junction area and Santan Valley and Florence. Go back to 2040 to 50 real quick. And then 50 to 60 is just sort of a continuation of that pattern going out. The vast majority of the growth does occur outside of the loop freeways. And that's a pattern that continues from last time as well. We do see plenty of intensity occurring in the middle as well, Tempe and Phoenix in particular. We'll just go back to 2025 and just go back through that progression again real quick. There's 2030, 2040, 2050, and 2060. So you can see way up there at Loop 303 and I-17, there's a really big concentration up there around the TSMC area. So now we'll move on to employment. So once again, this is our base year of 2025, showing roughly current conditions. And I think the trends to watch out for here again are up in the North Valley and Phoenix and in Peoria in particular as well, around the Amcor area. All along Loop 303 is going to see really explosive growth out into Buckeye along I-10. Lots of employment going in there. So we'll go out to 2030 from 2025, excuse me. And then we'll go to 2040. We'll go back to 30 real quick. So you can also see the BNSF facility up there off of the 60 coming in, lots of growth at the TSMC and the Amcor area. We'll go out to 2050. And really would see an intensification of those patterns, particularly along the freeways. And 2060. I'll just back it out to 2025 once more, and we'll take it back through. Here's 2030, 2040. There's 2050 and 2060. Okay. So what's next? One of the big things that's on my agenda is documentation updates. That's something I need to get done before regional council so that we're all ready to go at that point. So that'll be available at least by the end of next month. And more analysis. This is sort of a continuous thing. We will continuously analyze these results in detailed levels. We have lots of questions about what the model is doing in terms of placing individual households and what kind of patterns that's creating. We want to do some work going forward on demographic evolution and the aging of households and what kind of patterns that creates. We need to complete a set of socioeconomic input files for our transportation model so that they can start getting ready for conformity analysis. We'll continue to support all of your planning and analysis needs going forward. And I want to reemphasize here that lots more detailed data is available at geographic levels and all the interim years in between 2025 and 2060. Lots more attributes other than total population and employment. We have employment by land use. We have employment by industry. We have population by age, sex, all the different things. So if you have a need for detailed data for your area, in all likelihood, we have something for you or can help you find it. So I am happy to take any questions or comments at this point.
Thank you, Jesse. Do any of the members have any questions or comments?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Oh, Vice Chair Miller has a
Sorry.
question.
Thanks for the presentation, Jesse. Great job, great work as always. I wanted to ask you about your peer review exercise. First, I was just wondering, is that something that you anticipate being a recurring effort, bringing peers in to take a look at the model and provide input, or more of a one-off?
You know, I think it's a good idea to do it again. The idea came to me because years ago I was invited to go to one up at Portland Metro to serve on a panel. I couldn't go due to family obligations, so Scott went in my stead. He had a good experience up there at Portland Metro. In 2019, I was invited to one in Salt Lake City that I was able to participate on, and it was a really good experience being a reviewer. And I thought to myself, we have this in-house model that we've been building for years, and no one's ever really looked at it. And we've been doing our own thing. And so I thought this is a good idea. We had good experiences. So yeah, I believe so. And it's also standard practice in the transportation modeling realm. They do it on a regular basis for their ABM model. So I think we will be doing that again, although probably not for a few years. Yeah, but
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad you guys are doing that, and I hope that you'll continue to do that. I think it's so valuable to have people that understand how these models work and how they're supposed to work, put eyes on them rather than, bureaucrats like us that, it's cool, it's interesting, it's exciting, but also we're probably not really in a position to give you great feedback. So I think that's wonderful. On that line, one thing that we really struggle with in Phoenix, I suspect Tempe is in a similar situation, is with our forecasting work is accurately capturing redevelopment activity.
Yes.
So as we work with other metros and get their input, that would be a topic of great interest. I know at Phoenix, we're kind of chipping away at improving our methods and approach to forecasting redevelopment activity. But it seems like there's a lot more that can be done, can be improved on, and it's kind of that we need that laboratory to expand and get more input on what the best practices are for doing that.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. In general, real estate development is our toughest problem to model, and redevelopment, it makes it even tougher. There's no doubt about it. There's so many different factors that affect it, and forecasting that is a real issue. Fortunately, with the passage of Prop 479, MAG is well funded, and we have lots of on-call contracts out there with consultants that can help us with this going forward. So we have resources to dedicate to that.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Jesse. And then just one last question, a little bit different subject, and we'll follow up with you on this. But on the population density, the highest threshold, it looks like, was 8,000. I think that's perfectly appropriate for county-wide analysis. I assume we can get population densities at higher levels.
Sure.
But I'm quite curious how that looks like along light rail corridors. that sort of
Absolutely.
thing.
Very good. Thanks, Adam. Anyone else?
All right. Hearing no other questions. Prior to voting, there is also an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no requests for this agenda item. Staff, have we received any online written comments for this agenda item?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any online written comments.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to recommend approval of the MAG population and employment projections by municipal planning area for July 1st, 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050, and 2060? The resolution and the MAG annual municipality population projections for July 1st, 2025 through July 1st, 2060.
I'll move to approve the socioeconomic projections as presented.
Do I have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. We will have those participating in the meeting online take part in the voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. All right, members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, will you conduct a roll call of the members participating virtually who did not turn on their camera?
Thank you, Chair. I will now begin the roll call vote. Lloyd Abrams, how do you vote?
Aye. Aye.
Victor Cantu, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Sarah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Chair, that completes the roll. Oh, is it not? It looks like it is on my end. Okay.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is socioeconomic data processing updates. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Peter Burnett, MAG Socioeconomic Data Manager.
Hold on a second. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the PopTech Committee, MAG PopTech Committee. Happy to be here today to present some information. It's going to be a little bit duplicative from what Jesse said, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on some updates on some of the data processing we're doing that goes into the projections that Jesse talked about. Just a lot of them are ongoing, and so want to kind of tell you where we're at and where we might need some help as well. So just a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about some of these data sets. Like I said, Jesse talked about, but I'm going to go into a little more detail. I'll talk about the 2024 American Community Survey data, the 2025 MAG employer database, the 2025 MAG developments, which Jesse talked about, but I'll give you an update on what we're doing going forward, the 2025 group quarters, and then the 2026 fiscal year residential completions. Obviously, Jesse talked about a lot more data sets, and this is not all inclusive. This is just an update on some of the data processing that we're doing at the moment. What does this go into? Obviously, Jesse just talked about the projections, goes into the projections, but a lot of these data sets inform our travel models, the population estimates, both the MAG population estimates, but also get submitted to the state demographer for the census estimates as well. And then we use these data sets to go into our online mapping applications. And then I understand that the local municipalities use these for local planning efforts as well. The big thing, the bullet point at the bottom that I wanted to bring up is the member agency collaboration. It really improves our data. It makes it more complete and accurate, and we just really appreciate your help with all of these data sets. Help in review, but also help providing the data that we can compile on a regional basis. So first one, the ACS data. The data was released late 2026. Usually it comes out mid-December, but because of the government shutdown that occurred, we were a little bit delayed in pulling the data. We pull all the data down for the entire country. We put it in a SQL database. We have access to all the data geographically, all the tables. But just recently in April, we were able to update our demographic viewer. So I know a lot of you and a lot of the cities use the data in this viewer. It is a regional viewer, or statewide viewer, I should say. Data.census.gov is great for its purposes, but we hope this is useful for you using this here for our region. And we've put the most popular data sets out there for the reporting and so forth, so which I'm displaying in that screenshot. But I did want to emphasize, okay, over to the right, again, it shows that it's the most updated census data that we have on there. But I also wanted to offer up, and Jesse kind of mentioned this too, how we can assist you with different things. And if there's some data sets that aren't easy to get on data.census.gov, if you need a little bit of help, we've got that expertise and have it in a SQL database to be able to pull some of the more complex data sets that might not be readily available or harder to find. We can help you out with that too. So the 2025 MAG employer database, Michael gave a presentation on this at our last PopTech, but I just mostly wanted to give an update on where we're at with the viewer. Again, the full database was made available to all of you back in March. We've recently, this month, published it to the MAG viewer. And so I just wanted to highlight that data is now available to you. Take advantage of the reporting function over to the left. That allows you to summarize by basically any geography. You can customize the geography and it'll update the summaries on the fly for you as well. At the time that we published it, everybody on PopTech should have gotten an email notice or copied on it. Michael works a lot with some of the economic developers with each city and a member agency, but also when he releases it, he'll send it out to PopTech members. If you didn't get that or haven't gotten a copy of the full employer database and you'd like one, again, just feel free to reach out to me or Michael Wu, and we'll send you a license agreement and give you, once that we get the license agreement, we'll give you the link to download the data. But I wanted to make you aware that that's available. Going forward, just as a reminder, on the in-between years from the projections, we've made a change in the last year or two to not do a full update on the in-between years. So coming up, starting probably in August, we're going to start the next round of the employer database. That'll be updating employers with 50 or more employees instead of the entire database. And so at that point, the database will be called the 2025-2026 employer database. So it'll be a hybrid of those less than 50, but anything more than 50 will be updated to the most current year. Okay. MAG developments. Jesse talked on this, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I, again, just wanted to thank all our member agencies for the collaboration on that. It is up, like Jesse said, updated through April of 2026. Like he said, over 600 additions, edits, deletes. The image to the right, the little circle image, kind of shows our employer database the developments database that we've put together region-wide using input from all of you. I did want to take a moment just to say, if you know of any major development that comes to your member agency, your city, go ahead and feel free to reach out to us, say, hey, make sure you capture this, right? Because this is an ongoing effort. But I did want to also say, when we met with all of you, we talked about how we're using a third-party company called DataBex to capture a lot of this. They're doing that. So we're not having to go pull from each of the cities their data. It's actually made our life a little bit easier on the developments. Mia behind me updates that data, and she's going to be updating that on the regular database at least monthly. So we'll be keep it up to date. But if you're aware of anything major that you want to make sure we capture, shoot me an email, say, hey, here's some data. We'd be more than happy to take that from you. Okay, group quarters. This is people living in communal settings such as colleges, dorms, military quarters, correctional facilities, et cetera. This is an ongoing data collection that we do. It's a yearly data collection. It's tracked annually. We're in the process of updating this database right now. We usually start this process early May. It's not a huge process, but it does involve some collaboration with some of the member agencies. Requests, Mia again is updating this data set, and requests have been sent to some of the member agencies, primarily Pinal County. And what we do with Pinal County, we'll send it to our member agencies down there. We'll send them what they submitted last year so they can see what might have changed, if we need to add any or remove any, and then change the occupancy numbers on those. In Maricopa County, MAG is researching the larger group quarter facilities. Mia is doing that right now. When we have those updated numbers and after we send them to the state demographer, we will, to those cities that have some of those larger group quarters, we'll send a summary of what we sent to the state demographer. Speaking of what we send to the state demographer, that's submitted annually to Jim Chang, who then in turn sends that data to the Census Bureau. So he's got a contact with that and who he works with. This is just a sample of the table that I'm showing there. So some prisons and dorms and so forth. But you can see the data that he tracks there is back to 2020. And so what they're looking for, that last column is the last column that we're working on every year, is kind of filling that in. Those numbers that you see there are the occupancy numbers. We do track kind of capacity too, because where we don't get occupancy numbers, we can at least, Jesse's team can model what it might be based on vacancies and so forth. But I just wanted to show you what we send to the census or to the state demographer and what they're really looking for. There's not always there's not always a lot of change over the years, but that's what they're looking for. They're trying to see, is there any big change in these group quarters that's going to affect the population? So, the final data set that I want to talk about is, this is obviously, you're all very familiar with the residential completions. We're working on the fiscal year 2026 right now. This is an ongoing effort. As you know, we've been maintaining this database since 1990, and I can't emphasize enough, and I do this every year with PopTech, just thank you for all your help in building this database. It's a robust database. It's very informative. The table that you're seeing here is what we send to Jim Chang, the state demographer. You should have all received recently a summary for your city in this format for Q3 and Q4 of 2025. I appreciate everybody that took a second to look at it to see if it's accurate. I know we did get some feedback and we made a few corrections on some of the numbers. So again, your feedback is great there. When we finish Q1 and 2, we'll be sending the entire fiscal year, because some of those numbers in Q3 and Q4 could change. So I already talked about the summary. So I send the summaries to you twice a year, at the end of the calendar year and then again at the end of the fiscal year. This data is in this table, in this format, is submitted to the state demographer, and he sends this data to the Census Bureau for those population estimates. And then again, we'll submit that full fiscal year probably in September sometime. Now, there are additions and subtractions to previous years. When we find some issues, we might find some duplicates, some data that might come in where we need to remove something, an older record that was counted before. But I do want to highlight this last column there. What that does is that allows us to make updates back to 2020. And so we'll send him the fiscal year, but he takes into account that last column. We'll send him a more detailed table of every year and every quarter as well. But that's really what allows us to make those updates. And so rest assured, when we send those updates to him, he definitely goes back to 2020 and submits that to the census as well, so they can make those corrections. Now, that last column leads me to my last topic that I want to talk about. Is we call this the residential completions audit. We try to do this annually. It doesn't always happen every year. But what we do is we look for issues with residential completion data where we might be missing. So for example, well, actually, let me highlight again what I brought up at the beginning, the member agency collaboration, improving completeness and accuracy. This part of this audit, we wouldn't be able to do without your help. Unfortunately, we can't submit numbers straight to the census. We need the actual permits to back up what the data is and where it's coming in, and we need it at the parcel level. So some examples. This first image, I'm going to show you 3 images that are very similar, but the green parcel that you see there, that's everywhere where we have a residential completion. The red highlighted parcels are areas like this is an example of a fully completed subdivision. But for whatever reason, we don't have the completions for that. So what we're going to do is we compare our data to the assessor's data. We look for issues where we're missing some of that data. We'll compile the data and then send to you for help. So another example, this is more of a developing neighborhood where you can see half the neighborhood's completed in red there, but it's still developing. But those houses that are completed, we should have the residential completions. But for whatever reason, we're missing them and just need some help. In a similar situation here, we're seeing this, it's all over the valley, really. We just picked 3 examples here. Some cities have more, some have less. So really the audit helps us fill those gaps back to 2020. And then the full corrections are submitted to the state demographer, like I talked about. And then, so we're starting this process right now. We're hoping to send this out to you and to our member agencies in the beginning of June. Like as I said, some of them may not be as many. We'll send the list to you in Excel sheet. That seems to be what works the most. I know it can be a large effort sometimes to fix up, but we'll send you the parcel number, we'll send you the address, and then we ask for the permit number back, the date it was completed. Is this correct? Is this actually completed? Because there's sometimes where we'll send you that parcel where it's actually not completed yet, even though the assessor might have said so. So that's where we're asking for that extra help. Now, there may be some issues where there's larger gaps, right? And so what I might send an email saying, hey, can we request a meeting so that it's great that we can fix it, but is there a problem with the reporting going on the front end that we might need to look at and see if we can help you fix that, or you can find where that issue is. I know Jimmy's shaking his head from Goodyear. They've worked with us on that in the past to figure out what was happening. So we really appreciate everybody's help on the audit, but just wanted to give you a heads up that that's coming, but mostly just to thank you for your help on that. I know it can be a large effort, especially when there's a lot of records, but we want to make the estimates, both the MAG estimates and the census estimates, as accurate as possible. And so that's where we want to find these gaps and fill those. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Peter. Do the members have any questions or comments? Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Peter. Great information. Appreciate you sharing that. One thing that I think would be useful for committee members is to understand the timeline and the process. This might tie back to Jesse's presentation as much as yours, but of what do I want to say? Integrating the socioeconomic projections, the updated projections into the transportation model. When does that happen? What does that look like? And what other activities are being done at that time? Namely, are we revisiting which road segments are being anticipated in the transportation modeling work to be in alignment with the socioeconomic forecasting?
Sure, no problem. Adam, that's a great question. I think all of you folks are probably pretty aware that over the last few years, MAG has undergone quite a few changes structurally. And one of those big changes that brought my group, the socioeconomic modeling group, into the transportation modeling group. So I now work directly with Arup Duda and Lavanya, and they're the other transportation modeling managers. So pretty much monthly or weekly, we meet together. One of the biggest tasks, or one of the next steps that I showed in my presentation, is coming up with a full set of socioeconomic input files for them. So that's going to happen immediately, and their conformity work is happening literally starting in June. So we work very, very closely together with them. And these days I get invited into all of the transportation studies that are happening across the valley, Northwest Valley, Northeast Valley, North Valley transportation studies. So the socioeconomic modeling work that we do is getting much more better integrated into the transportation modeling work than ever before, honestly. So it's going well. I'll just say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I think it would be helpful if PopTac is made aware when the transportation modelers are revisiting their road expansion
Okay.
assumptions.
Gotcha.
Because I think I think there can be a disconnect where they're generally working with our transportation planners and engineers who are not connected to the forecasting work and vice versa.
Right.
And we've certainly encountered situations where there's road segments being planned in areas where there's no development in the forecast.
Right.
And that's the sort of thing we need to get cleaned up. And then of course that sets everything off in the entire region. Shifting gears on back to some of the topics that Peter was discussing with group quarters, Peter, MAG is tracking large group quarters. There seems to be a gap in the data for small and medium-sized group quarters, and we are getting a lot of applications for these projects. And that gap exists not only between local jurisdictions, MAG, and the state demographer, but I'm not sure that Census is getting this information. Because if they were, they would presumably be getting it from Jim Chang's office. You don't need to give me a direct answer now, but just something to think about. How can we go about tracking these small and medium-sized group quarters? And I'm talking about facilities with like 12 or fewer beds. I think there's some statutory restrictions on tracking group quarters that are smaller than 5 beds. I'm not sure if that's exactly right, but there are some constraints on what we can and can't track. But I think that that's becoming a growing gap in the data if we're not getting our fingers on top of these smaller group quarters facilities and keeping track of it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Miller and Mr. Chair, members of the PopTech. Our process right now with group quarters has been to track the major group quarters that those do get submitted to Jim Chang and the census. Internally, we supplement the database. We keep a complete or more of a complete group quarters database. We gather data from the Arizona Department of Health Services, and we combine that in our group quarters database. So the data would be supplemented and added to the projections. I don't quite have an answer on what happens with the census. I know that they're not reporting those small numbers on an ongoing basis. It is possible that they might pull from Department of Health Services as well. I don't know their procedure. I don't know if Jesse has any idea on that one. But it's certainly something we could bring up to Jim Chang to talk about, to see how he's tracking those. I know there's so much change in a lot of those smaller shelters, and that's why we track it from what's licensed from the ADHS data for our own database. But it's, as far as affecting the complete population, it's a very small percentage, right? And there's a lot of change. So you figure that those that get removed or come offline, new ones come on. And so there's a little bit of noise there that I'm assuming Jesse's team and the modelers kind of factor in as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Peter. I think you're right. And certainly as a percent of population, these are generally not going to, jump off of the page. But when you translate individuals into federally and state shared funding, those will be numbers that'll pop off of a page. So we want to make sure that everybody's getting counted. And this is just something that at Phoenix we're really trying to get ahead of before we start local update of census addresses. We're starting to work with the address listing files, doing some crosswalking with your data, and finding enormous discrepancies in the data. This is pretty cursory at this point, but I think, the deeper we dig into it, I'm hopeful that there'll be some pretty big insights revealed through the process.
Yeah, I think definitely as a first step, what we can do is Jesse can bring that up to their next meeting with Jim Chang and at least ask how that's managed.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, hearing none, we will move ahead to agenda item number 6, which is the request for future agenda items. So are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is comments from the committee. Are there any comments or announcements from the membership? All right, hearing none, we will move on to adjournment. The next meeting of the Population Technical Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. With no further business, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.